Hello friends, this is Dijin from Online Chess Lessons. Today we are going to look at the top 10 defenses for black. On number 10 we have the Russian system, or we call it as the Petrov defense. Starts out with pawn to e4, black has pawn e5, knight f3, knight f6. We can see that both knights are attacking the pawns on e4 and e5 of the opponent. The main line goes like knight into e5. In this position, the black knight has got a tendency to capture the pawn on e4. If he captures, this is a big blunder. After queen e2, knight goes back to, say, nf6 again, then the discovered check. And we're gonna lose our queen. So, the best response from black after n into e5 is d3. The knight goes back to nf3 again. Then black knight is gonna capture the pawn on e4. Then queen comes to e2, queen e7, then d3, knight f6, queen captures queen, bishop captures queen, bishop e2, castling, castling. This Petrov defense is a drawish line actually if both players play correctly. Not much attacking chances for black. On number 9 we have the Dutch defense. It starts out with pawn to d4, then plays f5. This is a very interesting move from black. Black actually trying to protect the square, preventing e4 push from the white side, and the main line goes like knight c3, pawn e6, supporting the pawn on f5, then g3 from white, trying to bring this bishop into this long diagonal, then nf6, getting more control over these two squares. So overall this is a good defense for black. This has been played by most of the top level players. The world champion Magnus Carlsen plays this defense very often. So it's a very good defense for black. Next we have the carokann defense. Starts out with e4 and black responds c6. Then after d4, trying to control the center by the white pieces, then comes d5, attacking the center from black. If white tries to hold the center, then he may play knight c3. Then black can simply capture the pawn on e4, knight recaptures, then bishop f5, knight g3 attacking the bishop, then bishop g6. When we look at the black's position, black's light square bishop is well placed and he is attacking this pawn on c2, and we can always attack this pawn on d4 by this e5 push, and this is gonna be a good defense for black. On number 6 we have the French defense. Starts out with e4, black's gonna respond e6, then after d4, d5, attacking the center. White may play e5, then we're gonna play c5, attacking the center pawn. Then if white captures, we're gonna capture with bishop. Then we analyze the position. We got a minor piece of bishop is developed and is holding this long diagonal and attacking this weak pawn near the king. This is gonna be very good for black. On number 6 we have the alekhine defense. Starts out with pawn to e4. Black's gonna play knight f6. You can see right away black piece is attacking the e4 pawn. The main line starts out with pushing the pawn again to e5, chasing the knight, and it's gonna play in d5, then d4 from white. From here black can simply push the pawn, attacking the centerpiece, this pass pawn, and we can see another pawn push, c4 from white, attacking the knight again. The knight's gonna play in b6, then f4 from white. Look at the position, we can see that white's pieces are controlling the center of the board. But it's not easy for white to play in this position, because after g5, white has to respond brilliantly in this position. Because if he takes, you're gonna capture the e5 pawn, captures again, now b6. These three isolated pawns are very difficult for white to hold on, and this is a great advantage for black. On number 5, we have the King's Indian defense. Starts out with pawn to d4, nf6, c4, then g6. After nc3, bishop g7, bishop f4, castling. This setup is what we call as the King's Indian defense. Throughout the game, black is going to respond to white's moves and white's plans. It's a passive sort of opening, and it's very difficult for white to find any sort of advantage in this opening. Black will be later on trying to attack through the king side. White will be trying to attack through the queen side. White has to know a lot of lines to play to get any sort of advantage in this position if black plays correctly in this defense. Next, we're gonna see the Robatch defense. Starts out with e4, g6, d4, and c5. You can see that black is giving up a pawn to get the center from white. If white decides to capture the pawn, you can simply bring our queen to a5 check. We can see bd2, then we can recapture the pawn. In this position, white may play some development moves like bishop d3 or nf3, or you can see even nc3. And in this position, black can bring his bishop to this long diagonal here, controlling this long diagonal, and white may play bishop e2, then we can develop our knight, nf6, then nf3, castling, castling. This is a good setup for black and white pieces as well. We are going to attack the center with this d5 move in the next move, and we're going to completely destroy your center and counterplay later on in the game. On number 3, we have the Sicilian defense. Starts with e4, c5. This is a very sharper line. There are a lot of theories and complications behind this defense. If you are playing with black, you need to know all these things. You must know every details of this defense, otherwise you will find it very difficult to play against white. White is simply playing the normal moves, some development moves, and attack later on in the game. Black needs to know how to develop in this position, what are the different variations. This defense is played in IGM levels, top level tournaments. This is a very good opening for white if you know all the variations and theories behind this. On number 2, we have the Nimzo-Indian defense. This is a very good defense for black. The winning rate of black is very high. It starts with d4, nf6, then c4, e6, nc3, then bishop to b4. Bishop b4 is pinning this knight, and after bf4, our dark square bishop is gonna capture the knight, and pawn captures back. Now black castles. When we evaluate this position, white has got a double pawn here. This has always become a weakness for white. After nf3, b6, e3, then bb7, controlling this long diagonal by this bishop. Then white's gonna play b2, d6, castling, knight bd7. This is a very good position for black, and white's weakness is having these double pawns on the c file. So black can exploit this opportunity and can attack through the queen's egg if he wants to, or he can bring all his pieces to the king side and attack on the king side if he wants to. And overall, this is a very good defense for black. On number 1, we have the Pirc defense. Starts with e4, d6, d4, nf6, nc3, supporting this pawn which is attacked by this knight. Then comes g6, then f4, which is the principal move from white, then bg7, trying to control this long diagonal, then nf3 from white, and black castles. This is a very solid position for black. Black is now trying to attack the center early on in the game. He is trying to make a solid position, safety for his king, and after that trying to attack the center. White may simply gonna develop his bishop to say d3, then knight to bd7, then black square bishop to e3. Then light square bishop is a major issue in this position. Then we can simply open up a small diagonal for our bishop. Bishop's gonna come to b2, then control this long diagonal and have an attack later on in this game. Overall, this is a very good defense for black. This Pirc defense is played by top level players in top level tournaments, grandmasters. They all prefer this Pirc defense because of this high winning rate. I'll be doing a video regarding the variations that can be played in the Pirc defense. Also, I'll be doing videos regarding all the openings that I showed before you in detail. So please do subscribe my channel. Please let me know if you have any doubts or any comments on this video. Please like and subscribe my channel. This is DJ signing off.